want to thank you at home for watching. That's it for Front Office Sports today. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
After the first week of football, who'd have thought Alabama would be right back on the top? After a couple losses, Texas would have a chance to be back where they are. And we've all kind of watched Texas A&M and Ole Miss kind of jump right in the hunt. And, that Texas A&M's kind of become my dark horse because they can beat you offensively and they can beat you defensively.
The Bowden Blitz, only on SportsGrid.
Better bets, $90,000, FanDuel, New Jersey, LA. Oh, it must be some sharp hockey better. Yeah, or a rich kid with nothing better to do on a Tuesday night. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That is funny. God rest his soul, Dave Sheriff always used to say, if he told me this one time, Gabe, he told me 1,000. It's not how much someone bets that moves line, it's who's betting.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
I think they are fringes.
Yeah, that might be a push. That's a preference thing, I think. Do you want to be in the SEC? Do you want to live in Happy Valley versus Norman? Maybe you can go down to Texas.
I would take Norman.
Well, to go down and get talent out of Texas.
Yes.
But I think you've got to have alumni, president, athletic director that are all on board and committed to winning. And you need to have a fan base that shows up in sports.
The Bobby Carpenter Show, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here.
Welcome on in. It is Game Time Decisions live with you on a Monday night. Vibes are great. Updates from the household. The dogs are running around with pillows that they think are toys. And that just tells me it's a wild one. And it sounds appropriate because here tonight on the Decisions desk, we are dealing with the sports equinox. All 4 major leagues here in the country are in action tonight. And that is, of course, an indicator that we have the World Series happening. We are back in L.A., where the Dodgers are, of course, booked as favorites against the Toronto Blue Jays. L.A. favored in each of the first 2. Drop the first, win the second. Can they take their first lead in this World Series and go up 2 games to 1? They will need to get past a legend who I think a lot of people believe they'll have no issue getting past in Max Scherzer. Scherzer, somewhat unimaginably, yet you knew it all the way in your heart. Stepped up and closed the door on Seattle when they needed it in that series in the ALCS. Can he do it again? You look into this game tonight, and it will have major implications on this series price. This is something we talked about before things got underway. The Dodgers around minus 220, call it, before this series began, fell to around minus 120, minus 115 after dropping the opener. They are back up to around that original number since pulling things back in. A Dodgers win tonight, that number doubles, maybe more. Toronto would have an opportunity to be a favorite in the series for the first time if they could knock off Tyler Glasnow. That is what we continue to watch, as well as your World Series MVP price, which currently The book's still giving Ohtani a big edge, I think because they were likely burned by a number of in-series wagers on Shohei against the Brewers. And since he's not had his start yet, a home run already in his back pocket, the value is everywhere else on the board when we talk World Series MVP. It is a Monday, which means, of course, the National Football League gives us some action, but it is a game that loses a bit of luster, at least at the starting gate, because we were set up for Patrick Mahomes versus Jaden Daniels, and instead we get Patrick Mahomes versus Marcus Mariota. And an 11.5 point number, though, has come crashing down, because perhaps bettors feel as if the gap between Mariota and Jaden Daniels, at least throughout their time as Washington Commanders, not as big. 10.5s. It's flat 10s now appearing in the market. I asked this question. We'll dive into this more in just a bit. What would this number be if Jaden Daniels was in instead of Mariota? I think that may help you make your decision tonight as Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs look to close out with, let's be real, a needed victory. Yes, an assumed victory, but a needed victory. As the Denver Broncos continue to stack wins and the Chargers got back in the win column, a loss here tonight for Kansas City would be a little devastating. They are not in the playoff picture in this moment, and they have the Buffalo Bills on deck. A game next week I am already dying to discuss. Now it's the sports equinox, so a World Series and a Monday Nighter will likely get a lot of your attention, but since it is the equinox, you are very likely to look elsewhere and at least throw a couple of equinox parlays together. I have one of my own. We'll put that on the board within this opening half hour. In the association tonight, what are some of the key games on the board? I think one of the best on the surface is now a big game for a different reason. News out of the NBA that Anthony Edwards with a hamstring injury will be reevaluated in 1 to 2 weeks, could potentially miss the next 8 basketball games for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Minnesota got a very important win against the Indiana Pacers last night. That way they could at least, feel their heads above water prior to the Ant absence. At home tonight, Minnesota catching 6.5 from Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets. Jokers so far 2 for 2 on triple doubles to open this season. Some other key spots. Boston looks for their first win of the year on the road at New Orleans. OKC heads to Dallas, where they'll play Cooper Flagg and Anthony Davis. Then Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs try and stay unbeaten as the up-and-down Toronto Raptors make the move to San Antonio. On the ice tonight, got to be honest, NHL, not necessarily doing your part here. 2 games. You almost blew up the Equinox. Come on, a little hand-up accountability pie would be nice. It's the Penguins and the Blues in Pittsburgh, and then the Ottawa Senators are going to host the Boston Bruins, a home favorite, of course, for Ottawa in the matchup with a somewhat struggling Boston team to start this season. And that is, again, all setting up here this Monday night, where I think a lot of you out there will have best bets in the baseball, best bets in the NFL, but you'll have a leg from each sport Equinox parlay in. So we will deliver that. But I will also say, as we are here on a Monday, there are a number of big stories that have shifted markets that we want to hit tonight. Of course, movement throughout the National Football League, like Jonathan Taylor, presenting what is right now the biggest awards favorite number we have seen all year long. The OPOY, Jonathan Taylor has found himself with another 3-touchdown performance. He has 14 total on the year in just 8 weeks of action. He leads the NFL right now in carries, yards, and touchdowns. He has been brilliant for the first place Indianapolis Colts. But is there some value behind him in the market? I tend to believe there is. You also had the most important week of AFC North action yet, and none of it had to do with Dylan Gabriel being terrible. It had to do with the Pittsburgh Steelers in a Sunday night spot where many believe this is where Tomlin makes his money, getting rolled up on. Despite a 9-point halftime lead, it was Green Bay by 10 as the Pittsburgh Steelers drop back a bit. A Cincinnati Bengals team booked as a 6.5-point favorite squander any momentum gained from a Thursday night upset of Pittsburgh and hand the Jets their first win of the season. And then it all crescendos with the Lamar Jackson-less Baltimore Ravens finally winning without Lamar, 30-16 over the Chicago Bears, delivering us a new favorite in the AFC North, which is, of course, now the Baltimore Ravens. You know, within that division, there are a number of coaches who feel like they could be on the hot seat if things don't turn around. But one coach who was on the hot seat and has met his final day as head coach of his program, well, that would be Brian Kelly of LSU. And this is the biggest fire yet. It's been a jam-packed college football year with coaches being let go. It started with Gundy in Oklahoma State and moved on down to Va Tech, where people wonder, could they bring back a Beamer? Then it's James Franklin in Penn State, Billy Napier in Florida. Respectfully, none of those jobs as big as the opening left behind with Brian Kelly out at LSU. We have Matt Moscano joining the show, who has breaking news around this situation, joining us in about 30 minutes' time. But we get to the Equinox, the World Series, Monday Night Football, best bets, next on SportsGrid.
The best part about it is that they're just going about handling their business. I was listening to Arvell Reese, is literally like 5-word sentences about himself and some of the things that Caleb has been talking about. The dudes are just so locked in here about just doing their job and not worrying about all the other things and awards. They know all those happen when you go win and you win decisively.
The Bobby Carpenter Show, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to have bet tracking for the first time. If you have a FanDuel account, you'll be able to track your bet on the Prime Video games. And tonight, if you are part of the ESPN Mega Content Service, we understand from an organization called Antenna that 2 million people at least have the ESPN Mega Content or Unlimited service. You will be able to track your bets also on tonight's NBA coverage. So this is the beginning of a major new era for basketball on television.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Like Marchand said, they're all a bunch of dirtballs, so I fit in with them. You know what I mean? Remember, like, the Phillies baseball team, like with Kroc and Dykstra and all those guys? Like, yeah, they're just a bunch of dirtballs, right? And that's what the Panthers are. They're all the same. Like, they're all like to drink. They're all tough. They're all dirty in the corner. You know what I mean? They'll all do whatever it takes to win, but that's why they've won 2 cups in a row.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
For him and Cignetti are the most Spurrier-like personalities, Spurrier-like head coaches, and Cignetti's locked up. And you know what? And Ole Miss could very well lock Lane Kiffin up, but he will always be a fighting under. At Ole Miss, you will always be a little bit of an underdog because of who you're playing. At Florida, you don't ever have to be an underdog because of their resources.
The Bowden Blitz, only on SportsGrid.
All right, back to the right here, game time decisions. Let's begin with the World Series tonight. And let me pull up some numbers just around the board here to see how much of a gap there is right now in the market. Best number on the Dodgers looks to be around -190. Best you could do on the Jays looks to be about +170. Total moving a little bit in the market. We had 8.5s earlier. This is down to pretty much 8 everywhere else. An expensive 7.5 does appear. It's understandable to expect offense in this one. What Max Scherzer did against Seattle was awesome. It's hard to imagine he does it again against a better lineup in the Los Angeles Dodgers. Tyler Glasnow has been a tricky one for me, right? They weren't exactly sure how they were going to use him in this postseason. He didn't have a banner year in any stretch of the imagination for LA, but he's been great since this postseason has started. Yet a piece of me tends to believe he could be had a little bit. It kind of sends me into the prop market. The issue I am having is the two guys that stand out the most. Could it be more obvious? It's Shohei Ohtani and it's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Just when you look at the numbers for Glasnow, I think you're better off going righty-righty. Vlad Jr.'s been making money doing that all season long, regular season and postseason. If you look at Scherzer, as far as extra base hits go, lefties have been what have really beaten him up. How does that not send you to Shohei Ohtani? Ohtani so far in this series, a hit in each game, a run in each game. It's a much better start, and it's carried over a little bit the momentum he had in game number 4 against the Brewers. For Vladimir Guerrero Jr., a hit in each game, at least, a run in the opener. But you see the market starting to move, right? Each guy for hits around -122. Is that great? Each guy for a home run, all right, now you can get around 9-1. Is that coming in? Each guy for a run, interesting. Each for 2+ runs. Okay, maybe now we're talking. Those are the guys that stand out. But again, of course they stand out. And are they going to get a hit? Are they going to get a hit in every single game? I don't know. So that's what kind of pulls me back a little bit on this action tonight. I find myself leaning towards the over on the 8, but I feel like I'd rather figure out how we get there, which I think in my heart is the Toronto side, but in my brain is the Dodgers side. Makes for a tricky one here on this Monday night. I do want to mention the World Series MVP odds quickly. Ohtani sitting at +180 is understandable because he still gets his start. But right now, Will Smith and Yamamoto's cases are very, very clean. And Will Smith's maybe a little bit more appetizing than Yamamoto because the current expectations is Yoshinobu Yamamoto won't get the baseball again. The Dodgers will do it in 5 because they're the Dodgers. They're home. They're favorites in every single one of these games. If the Jays get one, well, then we've got something to talk about. What fascinates me, and again, I know this isn't expected. If Yamamoto gets Game 6, but it's to keep the series alive, and he wins it, he won't pitch in Game 7. Can he win World Series MVP if there is a Game 7 and he can't take part in it? Maybe, but it's just something I'm thinking about when we're taking a look at those numbers. Now, when we take a look at the numbers for Monday Night Football, the Chiefs and the Commanders, it's a number that jumped out to me pretty early on. At moments, I found myself hesitating, and by the time we got here tonight, I knew I loved the Washington Commanders. In fact, they're my favorite bet on this slate. Our best bets tonight, 3 of them come from this game. You get a little NBA action, though, from AJ. Let's put him on the board. AJ goes Hawks money line against the Chicago Bulls. You got to respect that. I'm not mad at it. I lean under in the game, but I'm not looking to lose on another ATL total. It's way too early in the season. We'll handle that as the year goes on. Marquise Brown over the 2.5 grabs for Sam. Makes plenty of sense. Hollywood Brown is supposed to be a part of this offense. Yes, Rice looks like the number 1. Yes, Worthy's the more explosive player. Yes, Travis Kelce's the more famous player. But Hollywood Brown factors in. At a plus price for 3 grabs isn't bad. McLaurin or Debo to score is how Chris is going to play it. At a plus price, can't get mad either. But give me the Commanders at 10.5. -109. You can get -105 right now in the market on Washington. Some of the 11s have started to appear once again. I asked the question, what would this number be if Jaden Daniels was getting the start? Some have said 5.5 to me. Some have said 5. Our guy Lisi during our Pro Football today said 7.5. Here's the reality. If you think it would have been 7.5, then I'm mad at you and Jaden for not being healthy, because that would have been best bet of the season. Of this season. But if you think it would have been 5.5, which sounds about right, I haven't seen a 5-point gap between Mariota and Jaden Daniels, and that's not just this year. Mariota has been comfortable filling in for Jaden Daniels. Cliff Kingsbury has been comfortable calling plays for Marcus Mariota. Mariota's been really good with his legs this year. He has a run of 20-plus in each of the 3 games he's appeared in. And you get back Deebo Samuel, and you get back Terry McLaurin. I understand I tried to fade the Chiefs against the Raiders and lost. One of the worst bets I'll ever place. The Raiders not only lost 31-0, they were making history with how few plays they ran. They had 95 yards of offense. The Raiders are lifeless. And they lost Max Crosby in game, so it just got worse. The Commanders are not the Raiders. And this is a similar enough number that I have to play Washington here on this Monday night. If the Chiefs are back, okay, fine. But I maintain my position. The backed Kansas City Chiefs lay big numbers, win the game, but don't cover. So this, to me, feels like a game that lands in between 5 and 8 points. And we end up with a Commanders cover, a Chiefs win, and a lot of momentum and excitement for KC Buffalo. There is a piece of me, though, that wonders if the Commanders strike first. Could we have an upset alert in Arrowhead? It's on the board, but we're not worried about that. We have ourselves a nice play here at 10.5. We've got some parlays involving this one next, as well as some NBA and NHL action on.
Very young team outside of Durant. They're going to be an impossible out in a 7-game series, and I'm predicting it right now. If the seeding lines up, you are getting the Thunder and the Rockets in the Western Conference Finals. There's not another team in the West that's going to be as good as the Rockets are when we get to playoff time.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
I don't want people to stop discounting how good of a coach Rick Carlisle is. And I think they're going to find a way to get it done. I think they're going to be better than people think. And I also think if that's the case, then I'm fading someone in that division. You know who I'm fading, and that's the Milwaukee Bucks, who have now cut 2 players this year so that they can bring back both Antetokounmpo to play with Giannis.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
People who filed it are actually representatives of Chicago, so they're from the city. They're kind of saying, you know, this is really going to cripple the industry if we do this even more. I think it's really important when we talk about this stuff because so many places want to keep taxing sports betting more and more and more, which is well within their right. But there gets to a point where the bubble bursts and sports books either don't want to do business or they change the way they do it by passing it down to the customer.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circa Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
All right, live right here. It is game time decisions on a Monday night. It is Sports Equinox Day, which means we are involved. across all 4 major sport leagues. There's some movement out there on some numbers. Let's start with your primetime producer parlay. This trio always steps up for the people here for the Monday night game. Chris is going to go Terry McLaurin, 40+. We may see that again. Sam with a double down. I actually really respect it. He's like, fine, you don't like my best bet? I'll give it to you a little bit lighter. 2 grabs, Hollywood Brown. One of my favorite things I've seen all season long. For the best bet, it was Marquise Brown, and for the producer parlay, it was Hollywood Brown. I think I like that as an inverse for some reason. Like, I want my best bet on Hollywood, and I want to lock it in with Marquise, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. Kelsey anytime from AJ. You know, sometimes there's a little infighting back there. Who's allowed to give out a touchdown leg? Who's not allowed to give out a touchdown leg? Maybe it's just if it's not a quarterback, anytime touchdown, you're allowed to give it out. Nevertheless, Kelsey makes the cut. You get a plus 337 price is what we are seeing here for the fellas. Primetime producer parlay. Now, I have put together a little bit of an NBA card for the people here, which will come as no surprise. Sixers Magic is a number for Orlando that is just way too big, but the game does have a bad vibe to it. This Magic team was supposed to be good. They're playing terrible. Maybe they get right. And one of the reasons they're playing terrible is Paolo Banchero has been awful. Flatly horrific. That can't continue to the degree that it is. He may not hit some of the heights that people hope that he will one day, but him shooting 34% from the field, 17% from 3, 1 assist in each of the first 3 games, I don't see that. 24.5 points is an excellent number, and I'm on it over the number for Paolo. He's landed 24 twice. 1 efficient shooting game, please. I think it happens. Give me Banchero over his points. Couple of sides I'm on. I played Detroit +2 against the Cavs. Both teams are on a back-to-back. I think that this Pistons team has a nice thing going right now, and Cleveland is banged up. Really hard-fought matchup against the Milwaukee Bucks. At a home dog here, no Garland, no Lonzo. It's a lot on Spida. Give me the Pistons +2. I did bet Boston right before the Zion news at 1.5. I know it's 4.5. I like Boston. No, I don't think they're going to win by 2, 3, or 4. But I hate to tell you, get it at 3 points worse. I bring it up because I am on Boston. I think they are in line for their first win, and a Zionless Pels is a real struggle spot. Maybe Jaylen Brown will be out, and you can get a better number on Boston. I still like the C's, even if Jaylen Brown misses that game. I am playing Dallas at +9. I am giving them a chance to carry over the momentum from Cooper Flagg's best game as a rookie. That is a ton of points for a Thunder team who did finally blow someone out in Atlanta, but is on the road again. A lot of miles on those legs with all those overtime games. I'm happy to take a shot with Dallas. My favorite side is Memphis +8.5. No Al Horford for Golden State. They are back home, but this is a team who now, in their last 2 games, have been relying on Steph Curry brilliance. And yes, sure, over time, you can live with that to a degree, but Steph having to go out there and is being asked to hit 6 threes again, 35 points again, I think it's a little too much. I think Memphis, who got rocked by the Miami Heat and responded in their next one, keep on responding. I think they're keyed in. I think they're live in the game against Golden State. Now, Sports Equinox Parlay. It's a big one. We took a shot. It's 2 legs from all 4 legs. Did it over on DK because they have that stepped up option that you can get involved with. So we'll just run through it. Bruins over the team total, 2.5. Penguins over the team total, 2.5. In the NBA, Banchero, 35+ PRA. Amen Thompson, 25+ PRA. In the NFL, Rashee Rice, 60+ receiving. Terry McLaurin, 40+ receiving. In the Major League Baseball, you get the idea. In the baseball, Vladdy Jr., 2+ hit run RBI. Ohtani, 2+ hit run RBI. with what was then a 55% boost, we got 62-1. Let's keep talking Equinox with the help of George Kurtz next here on a Monday night.
Very young team outside of Durant. They're going to be an impossible out in a 7-game series, and I'm predicting it right now. If the seeding lines up, you are getting the Thunder and the Rockets in the Western Conference Finals. There's not another team in the West that's going to be as good as the Rockets are when we get to playoff time.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
I don't want people to stop discounting how good of a coach Rick Carlisle is. And I think they're going to find a way to get it done. I think they're going to be better than people think. And I also think if that's the case, then I'm fading someone in that division. You know who I'm fading, and that's the Milwaukee Bucks, who have now cut 2 players this year so that they can bring back both Antetokounmpo to play with Giannis.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
People who filed it are actually representatives of Chicago, so they're from the city. They're kind of saying, this is really going to cripple the industry if we do this even more. I think it's really important when we talk about this stuff because so many places want to keep taxing sports betting more and more and more, which is well within their right. But there gets to a point where the bubble bursts and sports books either don't want to do business or they change the way they do it by passing it down to the customer.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
We go. Back with you right here on SportsGrid on Game Time Decisions. Kevin Walsh with you on this Monday night. We'll just put it in a, you can just read it. Maybe it's a little bit easier than me listening out. The Equinox parlay. It's a very light, very manageable, 62-1. As my brother says, what loses? I mean, come on now. You got to be kidding me. We've got some hockey in there. We've got some NBA in there. We've got some NFL. We've got some Major League Baseball. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Can't imagine anybody messes this up. So we're pretty excited about that. Here's the thing, though. As far as my hockey picks, a lot of vibes. Not a lot of actually know-how. That's why we bring in our guy, George Kurtz, to talk through the ice and some Major League Baseball, of course, with the World Series in action. George, I appreciate you stopping by. I will say, excellent job as always by the NHL to not grab the opportunity of Equinox Day. Everyone's talking your league. 2 games, neither one of them exciting, but there are some options. Are you betting Pittsburgh, St. Louis, or Ottawa and Boston?
Now, you mentioned 2 games here, 4 middling teams, right? Nobody truly exciting here. But yeah, I've got some bets in both games here. Pittsburgh, St. Louis here. St. Louis, no Jake Neighbors, no Robert Thomas. While these aren't household names, these are solid players for the Blues here. They're also going to get the backup goaltender, hope for starting over Binnington. I know Binnington's not a world beater unless he's playing the 4 Nations Cup, right? Then he was outstanding for Team Canada last year, but he's still their starting goaltender. Hard not to like the Penguins. Plus, I guess technically they're the underdog. Right, it's minus 104. St. Louis is minus 115 here. So give me the Penguins here. They're without Ricardo Rakilla, by the way. He had surgery, I believe, on his hand. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. So they're not at full strength either. But I just think they're the better team at home. I think they'll take care of St. Louis here. Ottawa, Boston. The first thing that struck me this, Kevin, how on God's green earth is Ottawa minus 172 over anybody? All right, listen. I root for the Senators. I do. They're a nice, young, up-and-coming team, but they're without their best player. Brady Tkachuk is still gone, probably till December with the hand-wrist injury there. He had surgery. They're an exciting team. You got Stutzel, right? I mean, Claude Giroux's still there. He's been around forever, but we're not talking about a lights-out team here. We're talking about a wild card bubble team when all is said and done in April. They should not be minus 172 over anybody. So I'm for to take the Boston Bruins just on principle once again. Plus, they're also going at the backup goaltender tonight in the Senators. They're making it easy for me. I'm not saying this is an absolute must-win here, but they're making it easy for me to take the Boston Bruins and the plus 142 tonight. So give me the bees.
George, I am going to ask you about the baseball, but just quickly, if I may. The Oilers seem to have this habit of slow starts. McDavid only 1 goal so far this season through his first 10 games. I mean, I know he has 11 assists because, of course, he does. He's not that far off the points lead because, of course, he isn't. But what do you make of this start for the Edmonton Oilers off the back-to-back trips to the Cup?
Yeah, I think the same thing as you. I'm like, okay, they've done this before, so I guess they'll right the ship. But they're playing in a tough Western Conference. Sooner or later, Kevin, it's going to bite them in the ass. All right, it's going to bite them where they keep trying to come back against Colorado, Winnipeg, Dallas, Vegas. Yeah, I know they beat the Kings in the playoffs all the time, but you got to get to the playoffs first here. So many good teams in the Western Conference that they're playing with fire every time. Remember a couple of years ago when they went, they played terrible in pretty much October and November, and then they pretty much didn't lose a game for 3 months. You can't bank on that every year. Plus, your goaltending is iffy with Skinner, right? Even they know it's iffy. All right, so it's tough to bank on this, but yeah, we're going on past history again. They'll be fine. Connor McDavid, by the way, doesn't look like Connor McDavid. He's not really in a. It makes you wonder: is he dealing with something they're not telling us about? Because he came into the season saying, "Yeah, I want to score more goals this year." Yet, as you said, he has 1.
I didn't know he said that.
Great players want to work on things, right? We see it all the time. Sidney Crosby once said, "Hey, I want to work on my faceoffs." All of a sudden, he's a great faceoff man. Connor McDavid said he wants to score more goals. But as you said, 1 goal, 11 assists, which makes me wonder, does he have a hand injury, a wrist injury where he can't snap that puck like he used to? It's just something I keep in the back of my mind, which means I wouldn't be betting any McDavid goal props anytime soon.
Fair enough. Now, George, the Dodgers at home tonight, settling in around minus 200 in some places. The total for this one is an 8. It's Glass now, and it's Scherzer. What is standing out to you about tonight's matchup?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the Dodgers are going to win. I'm not going to lay minus 200. I do have them in a parlay. All right, so listen, I'm Mr. Parlay here. I love parlay, so I have the Dodgers in a parlay here. Maybe you want to take them on the run line to win by 2. I think that's another way to attack the game straight on if you don't want to put them in a parlay. I think I like the over. All right. I think it's going to be run scored in this game, and I'll tell you why. I don't expect Scherzer to go deep. Scherzer might get crushed anyway. And I don't care what the Dodgers have said, publicly. Privately, they're steaming a little bit, and they can't wait to get their hands on Scherzer after what he did to them a couple of years ago, where he couldn't pitch, right? He had the dead arm, and he had to come out there and force Walker Buehler to go on 3 days rest, which did not go well there. So I think they're looking forward to getting their hands on him. Plus, even if Scherzer pitch is decent, I don't think it's going more than 5 innings, which means we get that bullpen. And Glass now as good as he's been, and I think he'll be good tonight. The Blue Jays do know him. He did pitch in the American League East for a long time with the Rays here, but he generally doesn't go deep into games. So I think, once again, we can get that Dodgers bullpen. So even if we only get a couple of runs in the first 5 innings, I think it's going to be a great in-game over opportunity as well. There's some place to bet there if you don't want to bet a pregame. Now, I bet a pregame, but if let's just say after the 3rd inning we're 2-1 and it comes down to 7.5, 7, I'll be hitting it again. Because I think both bullpens are going to come into play here. And outside of Sasaki, I don't know if I truly trust anybody. They think, Bassett's going to come in at the Scherzer. So I'm worried about Bassett in the Dodger lineup. I'm not. I think runs are coming late in this game.
Let me ask you this, George, because, of course, anyone who's watched the postseason, but as someone as close as I'm sure you watched Yankees, Blue Jays, the Yankees rotation is good. It just is. And they had no answers for Toronto. At the end of the day, Fried, Rodon, Heel, those guys are better than what they were able to put forward on that day. I am absolutely in agreement that the Dodgers rotation is better, but I think what we saw in game number 1 is more likely than what we saw in game number 2, where they just didn't have much going. Do you think that is silly of me to think that this Blue Jays team will be able to consistently hit in this series against the Dodgers pitching staff?
No, I don't think it's silly at all. I think what we're seeing here, if you didn't pay attention to the Blue Jays all season, as far as really watching the games here, they put the ball in play. They do not strike out. They make you work. They made Snell work, heavy in the first inning of game one, right? And it cost them later on. And they made Yamamoto work too. He got through it, but they made him work. And I think the same thing's going to happen with Glasnow tonight. Glasnow, good pitcher, but he can be wild. And they will not swing outside the zone. So it could be something to watch here. That's why I don't think Glasnow's going to go deep into the game. I expect Glasnow to go, I think if he goes 6 innings, that'd be like, wow, he went 6 innings. I'm expecting 5+. Where he's going to be gone someplace in the 6th inning here, which is why I like the over. And as far as the bullpen is concerned, the Blue Jays give you professional at-bats from 1 through 9. They don't give away at-bats. They don't have guys who are just pure, I'm going to swing a bat as hard as I can and see if I can get about 500 feet. If not, I'm going out in 4 pitches. No, they give you professional at-bats here. They make the starting pitches work. Kevin, you and I are Yankee fans. This is sort of how the Yankees were built for a long time. Back in the day here when they were great, they made the starting pitchers work to get into the vulnerable bullpen.
Yeah, I just a game where the Blue Jays score 1. Of course, right? I don't think they're going to win any of these games 1-0. I think they can get to these starters. But that is clearly the man. Again, Yamamoto throws a complete game. I could not believe that he got another complete game off his arm. George, I don't know what you thought heading into the series, but in this moment, as far as length of series, it seems like you're clearly leaning Dodgers. What are you expecting?
Before the series started, I had 2 bets here as far as the series: Dodgers in 5 and Dodgers in 6.
Okay.
After they lost game 1, 5 is probably not going to happen. I don't think the Dodgers sweep the Blue Jays in L.A. Jays are too good for that. That being said, I do like the Dodgers in 6. I think they'll take 2 out of 3 here, and I think they'll win Game 6 in Toronto. That's what I expect here. Although the Jays, like I said, really good team here. They're going to make the Dodgers work for it here, but I got the Dodgers in 6 now. By the way, Pittsburgh Penguins up early, 1-0.
Fantastic news. The Equinox Parlay is on its way. George, we appreciate it. We are going to talk about the big news out of Baton Rouge next.
Very young team outside of Durant. They're going to be an impossible out in a 7-game series, and I'm predicting it right now. If the seeding lines up, you are getting the Thunder and the Rockets in the Western Conference Finals. There's not another team in the West that's going to be as good as the Rockets are when we get to playoff time.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
I don't want people to stop discounting how good of a coach Rick Carlisle is. And I think they're going to find a way to get it done. I think they're going to be better than people think. And I also think if that's the case, then I'm fading someone in that division. You know who I'm fading, and that's the Milwaukee Bucks, who have now cut 2 players this year so that they can bring back both Antetokounmpo to play with Giannis.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
People who filed it are actually representatives of Chicago, so they're from the city. They're kind of saying, this is really going to cripple the industry if we do this even more. I think it's really important when we talk about this stuff because so many places want to keep taxing sports betting more and more and more, which is well within their right, but there gets to a point where the bubble bursts and sports books either don't want to do business or they change the way they do it by passing it down to the customer.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circa Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions here with you on a Monday night, and a big decision was made in Baton Rouge. I know that it is Sports Equinox night. We're getting bets in. We've been doing that throughout the show. We will keep doing that throughout the show. But you do not get a decision like the one made by the LSU program every season. LSU opened this year as a top 10 team in the country and then beat Clemson on the road in week number 1 and found themselves ranked inside the top 5 until their first loss of the year, which was at Ole Miss. But snapshot it all right there. For LSU, yes, the Clemson result didn't age perfectly, but you got it. And a loss at Ole Miss, while frustrating, it's not the end of anything. You get wiggle room in the SEC. You just have to handle business in certain spots, like a trip to Vanderbilt or hosting a Texas A&M. They were not able to do either one of those things. So then the Brian Kelly tenure, as you fully take a look at it, it's a disappointing season after a disappointing season, and it doesn't feel like it is trending in the right direction. And I imagine for LSU, on top of all of the reporting that we are seeing around the vibe of the program being off, big decisions made by Penn State, big decisions made by Florida, have to make you realize that while you are a bigger job than either one of those, if you're going to be competing for the same candidates, you probably want to be out there sooner than later. Now, I believe we have the opportunity to talk about someone who has been breaking news around this situation, so I really appreciate the time. Matt Moscona, who does an excellent job covering all things LSU down there in Baton Rouge. You can find him on ESPN Baton Rouge. Matt, we appreciate it. I mean, as we sit here 7:15 on a Monday, where are you right now during the Brian Kelly saga?
Driving home after a long day, so my apologies. My apologies for the shaky video. Let me pull over so I can get into a quieter spot. My apologies, but
you do what you got to do.
It's been a whirlwind 36 hours, because the bottom line is I don't know that anybody, when LSU kicked off against Texas A&M, thought that there was a realistic chance that Brian Kelly would be fired within 24 hours. We've talked plenty about the buyout that Brian Kelly has and why that was going to be cost prohibitive for LSU moving on. But even prior to that game, you're talking about a couple of losses on the road against top 10 teams. And there just didn't seem to be an appetite to move on from him. But the way that game played out Saturday night, the general feeling that Kelly had lost the team, and truthfully, there weren't many allies who were willing to support Brian Kelly being retained at that point. And so here we are with LSU looking for a new coach.
Can I just ask you, Matt, because some of the most fascinating stuff that I think has come out is, people who are around this program. So I think you can speak to it. The coach typically embodies the program and loves the program and understands what it means to be LSU's head coach. And a lot of people now, as this decision is being made, seem to feel like those would not be ways to accurately describe Brian Kelly. Do you think that is fair? And if so, led to the end result, which it is?
Look, I covered Brian Kelly every day that he was in Baton Rouge. I've listened to every word he has spoken into a microphone as LSU's coach. And I didn't know Brian Kelly a lick before he got hired. And I've been on the LSU beat for 22 years now. The public perception of Brian Kelly baffles me. He was as courteous, professional, good to work with as any coach that I've covered. I think the bottom line is just didn't win. One of the things people talk about often with LSU is fit, because this is a really idiosyncratic place, not even just for the Gulf South, but or for the South, but just in Louisiana. The southern part of this state, man, we talk funny, we eat funny food. We party a lot. It's a strange place. We love our differences, but the thing I also always say is the winningest coaches in the history of LSU athletics. And Nick Saban was a career Midwesterner. Dale Brown retired as the winningest coach in the history of the SEC, not named Adolph Rupp. He's from Minot, North Dakota. Skip Burton was a Jewish man from Miami who came to LSU, heavily Catholic South Louisiana, won 5 baseball national titles in 10 years. He's on everyone's LSU Mount Rushmore. Jay Johnson, career West Coast lifer, came here. He's won 2 baseball titles in 3 years. He's beloved. You just have to win, man. And he just didn't win enough.
Yeah, I think that is fair. Matt, I won't keep you much longer. I appreciate it. I know it's been a busy day. Within about the 45 seconds or so that we have left, is there a name or two you're hearing or rooting to hear to replace Brian Kelly?
Everyone's going to start with Lane Kiffin, Dan Lanning, the pie in the sky names. What LSU's got to decide is, with this massive buyout, do they want to go the route of spending another $100 million? And if the answer is yes, you're going to make those phone calls. If the answer is no, and you're going to go more bargain basement, John Summerall at Tulane, Joe Brady, the OC with the Buffalo Bills, former LSU staffer, those are probably going to be the more prominent names that you hear.
Yeah, I think these are names that we'll certainly we'll look to keep an eye on. Matt, I appreciate it. I know it's been busy. We'll try and maybe check in when some of the dust settles. We appreciate it.
My pleasure, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, again, make sure you do check out Matt. It's been a very busy time. He's been breaking news around this situation. It's a crazy time down there in LSU, but we wanted to check in with everything around Brian Kelly. We'll get back to some of the action after the break on SportsGrid.
Very young team outside of Durant. They're going to be an impossible out in a 7-game series, and I'm predicting it right now. If the seeding lines up, you are getting the Thunder and the Rockets in the Western Conference Finals. There's not another team in the West that's going to be as good as the Rockets are when we get to playoff time.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
I don't want people to stop discounting how good of a coach Rick Carlisle is. And I think they're going to find a way to get it done. I think they're going to be better than people think. And I also think if that's the case, then I'm fading someone in that division. You know who I'm fading, and that's the Milwaukee Bucks, who have now cut 2 players this year so that they can bring back both Antetokounmpo to play with Giannis.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
People who filed it are actually representatives of Chicago, so they're from the city. They're kind of saying, this is really going to cripple the industry if we do this even more. I think it's really important when we talk about this stuff because so many places want to keep taxing sports betting more and more and more, which is well within their right. But there gets to a point where the bubble bursts and sports books either don't want to do business or they change the way they do it by passing it down to the customer.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circa Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
With you right here on a Monday night, it is Game Time Decisions. We are live on SportsGrid. The Sports Equinox is underway. You've got an early 2-1 lead for the Penguins over the Blues. The NBA action starting with an early lead for Philly on Orlando and Detroit on Cleveland. We did just get the opportunity to talk to Matt Moscano, who does an excellent job covering the LSU Tigers. And while I know everyone is, of course, locked into today's slate, that news is so important out of Baton Rouge because it is going to have this huge trickle-down effect, right? You hear Matt mention that they're going to start by taking a look at a not just Lane Kiffin, a Dan Lanning. And if they get either guy, that leaves a big opening at an Ole Miss or an Oregon. If they get Kiffin, Florida's still left without an answer, right? It's a program that will perennially be booked near the top of that national championship market preseason. They are nowhere within range right now, nor should they be. They don't really have much of a chance. I think it's 350-1 on LSU to win a national championship. That's not where you're supposed to be for this program. And again, I appreciate the insight from Matt kind of hammering it down. What it all comes down to is he just didn't win. And that's just the truth of the matter. Speaking of winning, because we always like to try and, catch you up with some of the big market movement that takes place over the weekend, the Indianapolis Colts keep on winning. Good opponent, bad opponent, it doesn't matter. They have shown up week in and week out and handled their business. The best record in football at 7-1, and most, if not, it's not all, but almost all of the wins have been dominant. We talk point differential, right? The New England Patriots have the second best point differential at 67. That is 49 points behind the Indianapolis Colts at a plus 116. And for the Colts and for this success, you know that it is going to start to pop up with the awards. And Jonathan Taylor is now the biggest favorite we have seen. And I believe the first minus money favorite of the year at minus 250 to win Offensive Player of the Year. For Taylor, the case is largely about the touchdowns. Why do I say that? At 106 rushing yards per game, Jonathan Taylor is not on pace for 2,000. He's on pace to lead the league, but he's not on pace to rewrite record books from that perspective. The touchdown pace, though, is big time. But behind the touchdowns, or arguably in front of the touchdowns for Jonathan Taylor, it's the record. It's the fact that Jonathan Taylor is 20-1 to win league MVP, and the next closest non-quarterback is 125-1 to win league MVP. But to me, record and an incredible touchdown season isn't typically the pathway to winning this award. It's about setting records. And there are a few guys who still have that opportunity. The more obvious would be Jackson Smith-Njigba, who is presently pacing to not just the single season receiving yards record, but the first ever of 2,000 yards. If Jonathan Taylor and the Indianapolis Colts go 13-4, and Jonathan Taylor has 1,700 on the ground and 22 rushing touchdowns, are you sure that beats out JSN on a playoff Seattle team with 2,000 receiving yards? I'm not. I'm interested at 6-1. I'm interested. The longer shot, not that long, But certainly something I just want to keep eyes on is Jamar Chase. Maybe Cincinnati doesn't have a prayer if they don't make the playoffs. But Chase is right now on pace to tie the single-season reception record. Could become the first guy ever to have 150 grabs in a single season. All worth keeping an eye on. Let's continue to update this live board, get you some NBA picks here. It's a Monday night on SportsGrid.
Very young team outside of Durant. They're going to be an impossible out in a 7-game series, and I'm predicting it right now. If the seeding lines up, you are getting the Thunder and the Rockets in the Western Conference Finals. There's not another team in the West that's going to be as good as the Rockets are when we get to playoff time.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
I don't want people to stop discounting how good of a coach Rick Carlisle is. And I think they're going to find a way to get it done. I think they're going to be better than people think. And I also think if that's the case, then I'm fading someone in that division. You know who I'm fading, and that's the Milwaukee Bucks, who have now cut 2 players this year so that they can bring back both Antetokounmpo to play with Giannis.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
People who filed it are actually representatives of Chicago, so they're from the city. They're kind of saying, this is really going to cripple the industry if we do this even more. I think it's really important when we talk about this stuff because so many places want to keep taxing sports betting more and more and more, which is well within their right. But there gets to a point where the bubble bursts and sports books either don't want to do business or they change the way they do it by passing it down to the customer.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Live on SportsGrid, it's a Monday night. We're right here on the decisions desk. We've got Tom Vecchio joining us in 10 minutes' time. We're going to get some Major League Baseball and some NFL picks from Tom. I want to lock in a little bit more on the NBA, if you'll allow, as we do have a pretty big slate of NBA action. It is an early 10-point lead for the 76ers on the Magic. I won't harp on this too much because it's live. I will just say, if Philly wins that game, or even if they cover in a loss, the books are going to, I think, then start to shift on Orlando quite a bit. The Magic have not looked like the preseason expectations group, and the number that they laid against Philly was completely out of whack, especially as somebody who liked the Sixers coming into the season. But I found myself just respecting the number a little bit since it is early doors, maybe more than I wanted to. I think this is a market mover when you talk about game-to-game booking if the Magic end up getting rolled up here by Philly. It'll also probably move some of these Philly numbers quite a bit, even perhaps in terms of conference outright markets. We have a couple of more games that are going to be starting at 8 o'clock. The Rockets are laying a huge number to the Brooklyn Nets, 16.5. That is far more than I have any interest in laying. What you have, though, is the Nets in a back-to-back. Houston have not played since Friday, and they're winless. I think there is a Scotia narrative at work here. It's far too heavy, though the Nets cannot be trusted. I would bet under 4 of you watching this, maybe none of you watching this, had the Brooklyn Nets plus 10.5 against the San Antonio Spurs. But if any of you did, I'm sorry for bringing it up. A lot of us all talk about bad beats. Oh, worst bet of the year. You won't believe the bet I lost. The Brooklyn Nets were tied with the Spurs with 4.5 minutes left. They were down by 1 with 2.5 minutes left, catching 10.5. I understand sometimes a game can get away from you, but this didn't get away. The Spurs were dribbling out the clock. They were dribbling out the clock up 10. And then Jordi Fernandez, the Brooklyn Nets head coach, got a technical foul with 3 seconds left. And Wemby made a free throw to make the game 11. An unimaginable beat took place. Long story short, Nets can't be trusted. And I wouldn't be trusting them either. I did play Boston at 1.5. I know it's 4.5 now. It's a Celtic spot if there ever was one. But admittedly, I wouldn't be excited to lay 4.5 with that group. I think they handle their business. They are on a back-to-back. But the Pelicans are not a great team, especially defensively. And I think Boston, albeit a group who I think goes under their win total, I don't think is anywhere near a threat in the Eastern Conference. I think that this is a team who will be very keyed in on not going 0-4 to start a year, made evident by Jaylen Brown playing in a back-to-back, even if that's a bit of a risky proposition. Spurs-Raptors is an important game. I'm not betting this one. I do think their guards in San Antonio are fascinating early season. This De'Aaron Fox stuff is going to get to, whatever. Let me not make this about me being right about De'Aaron Fox. Dylan Harper, in his 3rd career game, off the bench, was maybe the best player on the floor. 29 minutes, 20 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists, 8 of 11 from the field, plus 33. Plus 33. Wemby was plus 13. Whose team is it? We don't. I think there's some temptation on their props, but the real temptation is expecting this game to match the Raptors' pace. I think that would be one of the more interesting things of this season. The Raptors have been high-flying, but the Spurs have been a snail. Who controls the tempo as we start to settle in to what pace expectations will be on a game-to-game basis and get a better read for these totals? I am playing Dallas tonight. I played them at 9. Admittedly, if I could, I'd go back and take this bet off the board. Gafford being out expected it, but then a Derek Lively absence I wasn't prepared for. The initial excitement on betting Dallas was maybe Chet would bet the game. Now, I bet it when I knew Chet would be in, but that then following up with all these Dallas front court absences, it doesn't excite me. Maybe they can hang with inside this number. I'd be stunned actually now if they pulled off the upset. I'm on the bet. It is what it is. We'll tell you when we get a good number. We'll tell you when we get a bad number. I am on Memphis late night at 8.5. I really like Memphis here. I think that the Grizzlies, and you guys know I thought, the 130 to 1 on them in the West was outrageous. I think Memphis getting smashed by Miami has the potential to be a little bit of an ATS turning point where this team now can go on a bit of a run and outperform expectations. And I mentioned the Miami game because they were a favorite. That number moved around all day long. Talked about it with our guy AJ in the back. He was on the Miami side. Great look. But I think now the books adjust to the big result from Miami. Memphis numbers too short. Memphis locked in. They go on a run. I like them plus 8.5. I think they're live in the basketball game. A game I am not on tonight because it is a tick too early to really get comfortable betting into some injuries. I feel at least. No Anthony Edwards for Minnesota. But it is, of course, relevant as somebody who played the Timberwolves to win the championship. 8-game window here for and likely to be out because they labeled it 2 weeks. And you have a pretty clean break. November 10th is 2 weeks. They don't play again then until the Friday. So let's say he misses that Monday night game at Utah. I look at this stretch of games here. They will be booked as a dog in 2 or 3. Tonight against Denver, definitely against the Knicks on the road. Not sure about the Laker game. No LeBron, no Luka. We'll see how much Austin Reeves can really carry. The point is, for Minnesota, there's plenty of opportunity here to keep their heads above water. The flip side to that is a lot of short numbers. Could you be missing out on a key part of your schedule where you're supposed to be stacking wins against Charlotte and Brooklyn and Utah? Fascinating little run out here for Minnesota. I think we'll learn a little bit tonight on who you can trust, who you can back as they take the floor against Denver with no Anthony Edwards. I will say there is always some temptation to bet on a team in that first game without the superstar because the books overcorrect, the team steps up, and then eventually those absences settle in. But Anthony Edwards was injured so early into the game against the Pacers that may have already happened for the Wolves. So that's kind of the tricky spot for me, right? Like winning the third quarter by 11, it's a stay-away game all in all. A few of the other spots that are out there on the association tonight, Blazers catch the Lakers on the road, but on a back-to-back. So that's a shorter number. A lot of guys out for L.A. You do have the Jazz, a short favorite at home against the Phoenix Suns. An opportunity for the Jazz to actually start the year 2-1. On the ice tonight, there's one in action, another coming with Ottawa, and the Bruins going to drop that puck almost probably within the next minute or two. You do have the Penguins and the Blues game now tied at 2 apiece. As that game, we are rooting in a little Pittsburgh team total. We are a hook right now away from getting where we need to be. We're coming up on a break. When we get back, Tom Vecchio, what's he like Monday Night Football, Chiefs Commanders? Then we come on back with Tom Vecchio. What's he like tonight? Game number 3 of the World Series, Dodgers and the Blue Jays. We'll just keep on asking him what he likes. He better have some action. We'll find out next.
Very young team outside of Durant. They're going to be an impossible out in a 7-game series, and I'm predicting it right now. If the seeding lines up, you are getting the Thunder and the Rockets in the Western Conference Finals. There's not another team in the West that's going to be as good as the Rockets are when we get to playoff time.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
I don't want people to stop discounting how good of a coach Rick Carlisle is. And I think they're going to find a way to get it done. I think they're going to be better than people think. And I also think if that's the case, then I'm fading someone in that division. You know who I'm fading, and that's the Milwaukee Bucks, who have now cut 2 players this year so that they can bring back both Antetokounmpo to play with Giannis.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
People who filed it are actually representatives of Chicago, so they're from the city. They're kind of saying, you know, this is really going to cripple the industry if we do this even more. I think it's really important when we talk about this stuff because so many places want to keep taxing sports betting more and more and more, which is well within their right. But there gets to a point where the bubble bursts and sports books either don't want to do business or they change the way they do it by passing it down to the customer.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circa Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions with you right here on a Monday night. Sometimes, people have nicknames. Sometimes a show has a nickname. This show occasionally is also known as Chris's Domain, where we just give out his bets and we ask his questions. So he does want me to ask the people, would you rather, and by the way, this isn't for anyone else other than Chris. Let's not pretend. Chris wants to know, should he start Terry McLaurin or Isaiah Pacheco in his PPR league? He's down between 5 and 6 points. He's going against Deebo Samuel. So just listen, you can tweet at Chris Koski 22 if you want. Maybe I'll let him talk to Tom here. They can just run through his fantasy lineups. Tom Vecchio joins the show. Tom, it's great to see you on a Monday night. Tom, you have a lot of experience in the fantasy community. Any advice for Chris here on Chris time decisions?
I like Pacheco. It's simple. We have a team that has a 30.5 team total. They're at home. They're 10.5 point, 11 point favorites, whatever it might be. And we have a player with Terry who's coming off a soft tissue injury that always has the ability to be re-injured. And maybe he's just out there in a limited role. Maybe he's not running as many routes. We're also dealing with a backup quarterback who's not good.
Wow, that is a take. That is a take that I'm going to be disagreeing with here a little bit. But I think our next on the docket is to run through Chris's card. Do we have that? No, I'm kidding. So you're fading Mariota tonight here, Tom, on this matchup?
I'm not fading Mariota. I don't have any props taking his unders. I just don't think he's good. And specifically when it comes to Terry, he's coming off a soft tissue injury. Those are some of the things that have the highest re-injury rate. It's not like he had a sprained ankle and now he's coming back for that and he's ready to go. A soft tissue injury, a hamstring, a quad, an oblique, those always have a higher re-injury risk compared to structural.
What are you betting in Commanders Chiefs?
Patrick Mahomes, under 274.5 passing yards. That number has come down to 271. This is not a spot that I don't think he's going to have to pass that much. I really don't. We saw Dak last week. He only passed for 264, and they boat raced the Commanders. And Mahomes can be super efficient and not have to do so. And that's why I also like a Pacheco prop over. I think they're highly correlated tonight. I think this game is going to be ugly, and I think a 31-17 final puts us right at the total, and the Commanders win this game going away. Excuse me, not the Commanders. The Chiefs win this game going away, and the Commanders don't have a shot.
Well, see, oh, wow. I mean, I love Washington here. So you feel there's just no slowing down Kansas City, and then the Washington won't be able to move the football? I mean, kind of like I know I'm making it maybe simpler than you feel, but that's kind of the simple version of it for you, Tom?
If they're struggling against the Cowboys defense last week, what are they going to do against the Chiefs? These are defenses are in completely different classes. We're dealing with a quarterback with Mariota. His passing prop is under 200. What are we going to be getting from him if they fall behind? It's a pure passing game script, which means all blitzing from Steve Spagnuolo, the DC of the Chiefs, and they're just going to be in an advantageous spot the entire time. And there's too many weapons on the Chiefs now to have anyone slow them down at a reasonable rate.
I guess my thing, Tom, is, and why I'm a little surprised, Mariota has been good almost every time he's had to fill in for Jaden Daniels.
He was pretty terrible in that Atlanta game, if I remember correctly. And I granted last week he only
was
had 10
fine. He was fine.
Yeah, but is fine good enough to beat the Chiefs or keep it close?
Well, to cover 10.5, yeah, absolutely. For sure, I think.
So if you like 10.5, Devin, do you like the under in this game? Because a higher spread with a game going over. If this game goes over, the Chiefs are doing 90% of the work.
Yeah, I don't fully agree with that. I've seen Mariota score 40 this year as the lead man and last year as the lead man with Cliff Kingsbury and all of these same weapons largely. With McLaurin back, with Deebo back, I think that makes a big difference here in the football game. I really do. I think this team is going to be able to run the ball a little bit. I don't believe in this Chiefs defense as much as you do, seemingly.
I don't think putting up 40 points against the Raiders is in the same stratosphere as this type of matchup versus the Chiefs. That's just how I look at it. Past results do not indicate future success. I know that's like the cliche, but who cares what he did against the Raiders? Putting up a bunch of yards against terrible teams doesn't impress me. Putting up a lot of points and yards against good defenses does impress me. And Mariota has yet to do that. So what are we talking? Like he put up points against the Falcons. He was okay. But then what did the Raiders tell us?
Yeah, but I think a lot of the Kansas City number right now is because of what they just did to the Raiders.
It's
because
cool.
all of a sudden now there's a lot of confidence that this team can lay and cover big time spreads, which history tells us they can't. There's a far longer track record of the Chiefs laying huge numbers and not covering them with Mahomes than anything on the contrary.
And they did that a lot last year where they didn't cover those numbers. But a lot of the time last year, they didn't have Rice and they weren't fully healthy. And now they are fully healthy. And now we have an offense that has 4 viable receivers, 2 tight ends, and 2 running backs. And there's nothing that the Commanders have done on defense to suggest that they can stop anyone. If you're giving up 300 yards to Michael Penix, how are you going to stop Patrick Mahomes? You are struggling to win a game against the Bears. What are we talking about here? If Dak and that offense can do that, I have to assume that Mahomes will do the exact same thing, if not more.
Yeah, see, again, I think that's a very dangerous way to get involved, is what I will say. That every single person is what they gave you last week is the same. Dan Quinn has proven over his tenure to be a good defensive coordinator. I've seen him have good performances this year. They went on the road to L.A. and held the Chargers to 10. I think they were scoreless through the last 3 quarters of that game, certainly the second half. Like, we've seen that in real time this year, not that long ago. I got you. Dallas absolutely lit him up. A lot of people thought that meant Dallas was going to light up Denver. I'm still looking for the Dak Prescott passing touchdown in that one. Okay.
I mean, the Cowboys going up against Dallas is a completely different thing. Them being on the road against one of the best defenses is that there was something we should have known that was a fail spot for the Cowboys. This is not a fail spot for the Chiefs at home, ready to strike and continue to push towards the division and the conference.
World Series action and best bets on the other side. It's Game Time Decision.
Very young team outside of Durant. They're going to be an impossible out in a 7-game series, and I'm predicting it right now. If the seeding lines up, you are getting the Thunder and the Rockets in the Western Conference Finals. There's not another team in the West that's going to be as good as the Rockets are when we get to playoff time.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
I don't want people to stop discounting how good of a coach Rick Carlisle is. And I think they're going to find a way to get it done. I think they're going to be better than people think. And I also think if that's the case, then I'm fading someone in that division. You know who I'm fading, and that's the Milwaukee Bucks, who have now cut 2 players this year so that they can bring back both Antetokounmpo to play with Giannis.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
People who filed it are actually representatives of Chicago, so they're from the city. They're kind of saying, this is really going to cripple the industry if we do this even more. I think it's really important when we talk about this stuff because so many places want to keep taxing sports betting more and more and more, which is well within their right. But there gets to a point where the bubble bursts and sports books either don't want to do business or they change the way they do it by passing it down to the customer.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circa Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Game-time decisions. Let's crank it up here, baby. We got to get best bets on the board on this Monday night. I am joined by Tom Vecchio. Tom, before the baseball, just remind the people any bets that you were on here on this Monday night.
Well, I had one for hockey just based on the timing of the game started. Jordan Kyrou already has a point for the Blues. Regardless of that, Mahomes under 274.5 passing yards and Isaiah Pacheco over 11.5 rush attempts for the Chiefs.
I am on the Washington Commanders plus 10.5. How could they cover? Backup quarterback, Mahomes. We've never seen anything like it. Get ready for some history then, I guess, tonight. Chris is going to take Terry or Debo to find the end zone. I guess he's cooked because Mariota's the quarterback. Sam is going to take Hollywood Brown over the 2.5 grabs. Chiefs are going to be up by a gazillion. I guess he's cooked. AJ's going to take the Hawks money line. I don't know about that. Michael Penix is the quarterback of the Falcons. Transitive property. I guess he's cooked. Didn't they lose once this year? Just giving Tom a tough time. Primetime producer parlay. McLaurin, 40. Marquise Brown, 2 grabs. I zigged and zagged. Kelsey, anytime touchdown. Go ahead, Tom. I know you want to. Tell me which of those legs loses. Is it maybe all of them?
I didn't skip. We can get that up there again so I can see it.
Yeah,
and
go ahead.
Look at it a little closer.
Go ahead.
It would be the Kelsey just because it's like, oh, Rice scores, and then it's Hollywood Brown, and then it's Worthy, and then they have 2 rushing touchdowns. All of a sudden, he's just not in the offense this week, and next week he'll score. It's just they have too many options that not everyone's going to score every week.
Are you sure? Not everyone is going to score every week. Excellent and sound advice from our guy, Tom. Some Major League Baseball, though, here for the people. What do you got for us?
Baseball and NBA. It is the sports equinox, after all. Let's
Sure.
go to Tommy Edman to get a hit. It's minus 137 with the FanDuel boost. It's like minus 170 or 175 without the boost, but use the FanDuel boost, 30% boost. Tommy Edman for a hit. I don't care about the historic success that he has against Max Scherzer. That doesn't matter. What matters is in the most recent game, he had 3 batted balls at 94 miles per hour or higher in terms of exit velocity. He didn't have any hits on those. So he's smoking the ball right now. He's just not coming with hits. I will take that at the price that we're getting at minus 137. And then let's turn to the NBA, Kev. Let's go to Kevin Durant over 34.5 PRA, as I told you last week. I don't take a lot of overs, at least when it comes to player props early season in the NBA. I almost strictly take unders. If I'm taking an over, it has to be for a very specific reason. Durant has looked pretty darn good to start the year, but the Rockets have yet to win a game, and they're also going up against the Nets, who are on the second night of a back-to-back. It doesn't matter that he's going up against his former team. When we have a player that can push the 30 points alone, you give me 28 and add in a few rebounds and assists. The Rockets come away with their first win tonight. Durant plays a major part.
All right, NBA-wise, for me, still to come. Again, I laid 1.5 with Boston. I know it's up to 4.5. Just want to at least mention it. I did play Dallas, catching the 9. That's up to 9.5. But I actually don't like that as much as I did. The injury news has just all gone against Dallas, really, in that game. My favorite side tonight, still to come, Memphis, catching 8.5 against the Golden State Warriors. I do really like that spot there. As far as this World Series goes, it is a real struggle for me because Vlad and Ohtani are the clear and obvious targets heading into this game, but they are the clear and obvious targets heading into every game. Like Tom said, not everyone can score every game. Not every player gets a hit every single game. Now, maybe these guys are just going to absolutely smash it. I am more tempted, though, by asking each to have huge games. And people could say this is foolish. I don't really care. I have no interest in each guy to get a hit at minus 122. No, thank you, okay? Each guy to get a run, each guy to get a home run, each guy to get 2+ runs. That is far more interesting to me when we are talking about Ohtani and Vlad. Tom, if I were to tell you one of the teams is going to be upset tonight, the Dodgers or the Chiefs, who is it?
The Dodgers.
Yeah,
it's
just
just
a good call.
The natural variance of baseball. Vladdy, Kirk, and Varsho, they all hit home runs. There's Bo hits a home run, and all of a sudden they win the game, 6-4, just because that's what happens in baseball. No matter how good the pitcher is, if you can get a few runs of him and or just drive up his pitch count, that Dodgers bullpen comes into play, and they are bad.
Lastly, the Sports Equinox parlay. Some of this is already live, but we will root in all of it. Bruins and Penguins each to score 3. Amen Thompson, 25 PRA. Paolo, 35. Rice for 60 receiving. McLaurin for 40. And then we did take the 2+ hit run RBI on the 2 superstars in Ohtani and Vlad Jr. Appreciate it to Tom Vecchio. I'm Kevin Walsh. This is Game Time Decisions. In-game live is next on SportsGrid.